Welcome, mamas, to workout number 2 from my Advanced Diastasis Recti Repair plan. We've got 5 workouts total, so make sure you've done workout number 1 before this one. We're going to continue to progress on the movements we established in that workout. So we'll begin on our backs. You don't need any equipment. We'll begin in the same intervals, 50 seconds on, 10 seconds rest. We're going to begin in that supine position, arms wide, palms up, knees over the hips. We're going to gently drop the knees to the front of the room, rotating through that upper spine and the obliques, and then bring them back over your hips and then go to the back of the room. So as you're rotating, we want to keep the shoulders anchored and rotate using the obliques and the thoracic spine. So we're getting a nice stretch through the back, creating some mobility, and then also using those obliques to control the movement. So we're stopping before those knees touch the floor, and then we're using that core to pull the knees back over the hips. Now you could also extend your legs if you want to make this a little harder. But what I want you to really focus on is going as far as you can without the shoulder blades lifting. And if you straighten the legs, you don't have to have them like perfectly straight. It doesn't have to be pretty. Just whatever works for you. Let's rest, and we're going to continue to progress on that same movement. This time we're going to do a figure 8, and I'll show you 2 options with the bent legs and straight legs. So we're just going to do a little figure 8. So this time we're going to the front and then the back, scooping down and then up, and then to the other side, down and up. So like you're drawing a figure 8, bringing the knees a little bit closer to the chest now. Maybe you can even take the knees a little lower now that we're warm, but again, be mindful of the upper body, keeping it anchored to the floor. This feels so good too on hips and lower back, and it's a perfect exercise to really create some space to work the core. And you can do this, as you can see, I've advanced to straight legs now. You won't be able to go quite as low with the straight leg option, but that's going to challenge your lever length, increase the lever length, and challenge that core stability as we take the legs away from the body. Now let's rest here. We're going to stay on this position, and this time we're going to do the hip circles we did in workout 1. We did those with bent legs. Now we're going to take the legs straight, so toes pointed up to the ceiling. We're going to take the legs down, around, and then up. So we're going to keep the legs together as we drop, make that little circle, and then bring them back up toward the ceiling. Exhale as you lower the legs, and we want to make sure that core is braced tight here. Lower back toward the floor. We're going as low as we can without that compensation happening. So if you start to feel pain or just more tension in the lower back, or your back is lifting, you can't keep that trunk stability, then you want to reduce the range. Just don't go as low, or take the bent knee option. This is perfect and still going to work those core, glute, outer hip muscles. Really important to use that breath. Exhale, that's going to allow you to get into the core and pelvic floor and use those muscles to fire them more effectively. Okay, we're going to continue on the back. This time we're going to extend both legs up to the ceiling and drop them both at the same time. So it's kind of like what we just did without the circle. So I want you to exhale, take the legs down, down, down as far as you can, keeping it strong, tight, and then pull it back up. Use that breath. Exhale, exhale. Maybe you can go all the way to the floor, maybe not. Maybe you do it with bent knees. This is the modification here. And you will feel it maybe a little bit in your lower back, but I don't want you to feel pain or like you're really unstable, or you're seeing that coning or doning of the abdomen, having a really hard time. But it should be challenging. Maybe you stop here. Maybe you take a little bit further. Legs are going to feel it too. So I know somebody's going to ask if you should feel it in your quads. You definitely will feel it in those quads. So if it's too intense, again, just take a break. Go back to the bent knee option. All right, now let's flip over onto hands and knees. We're going to do some bear plank holds. So hands under shoulders, knees under hips. I want you to tuck your toes. We're going to exhale and lift off the floor. Knees come above the floor about 1 inch, and we're holding for 5 seconds. So let's rest again. Keep that technique. Deep breath in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the knees are off the floor, just about 1 inch. And you barely will notice it. Why? Because you want your hips to stay low as you're lifting the knees. It's a small movement. So we're not coming backwards. We're not coming upwards with the hips. We're staying low to the ground because that's going to load the core and create that inner abdominal pressure that we want. 5 seconds is too long today. Just do 1 second, 2 seconds, but I want you to kind of establish that connection. Pushing hands into the ground, keeping those knees low, keeping the alignment. Good work. All right, we're gonna go to kind of a bird dog variation, but this time we're gonna extend the opposite arm and leg, and we're gonna hold it up and pulse. So arm and leg, just a little pulse, 1 inch up and down. So what we're doing here is adding instability by taking away points of contact, and then we're adding even more instability by adding that little pulse, that movement. So what I want you to focus on is staying square to the floor, first of all, keeping that strong core brace, exhaling on the little pulse. Your legs should be about hip level and your arm about shoulder level. You don't want to go too high on that pulse. It's a small micro movement. It's just creating that instability to challenge that deep core and pelvic floor. And if you need to, you can put that hand down and just use the leg if you need another point of contact to help you balance. You could also do a pulse and then drop the leg if you need to. That's kind of like a bird dog variation. That could be a good alternative to this for now. You can shift back for a second. We're gonna do that same thing on the other side. Wrapping the core and pelvic floor, always being mindful of that core engagement. And the hand that's on the floor, we want to push evenly into those fingertips, pushing through the knee on the ground, staying square. Again, we don't want to twist the hips. We want everything facing the floor here. Squeeze your glute as well. We want to get that hamstring, that back body involved as well. Doing exercises like this are so important for posture and back body strength, which contributes to overall core strength. And is great for just releasing tension too in the back body, opening things up and getting out of a hunched position. All right, good work. We're gonna move on to a forearm plank with a rotation. So come onto your elbow, bring it to 90 degrees. So elbow is under shoulder, hip is in line with the elbow. I'll give you 2 options. First option, extend the top leg, and we're gonna tuck and roll onto the knees, reaching that top arm under, and then coming back to the front of the room. Let's repeat that. So we drop, both knees go on the floor, hips square to the floor, we reach back, and then rotate back to the front of the room. Second option would be to scissor the feet here, roll onto the toes, and then back to the front again. Using that core, wrapping the deep core, pelvic floor and obliques here. Keeping the hips square to the floor right here, butt down. We want to go all the way square to the floor. Let's see if we can get 1 or 2 more in. This one's challenging. We're using a lot of muscles here. Rest. Okay, we're gonna move to the other side. This is my good side. It also helps that it's the second one. You get a little bit of a break on those arms. All right. You're lifting from that underside of the waist in that side plank, so make sure it's tight. On the toes if you want. And if you're on the toes, make sure you have your feet scissored here. That's going to allow you to get into that rotation. Last one. Whew, that was challenging. All right, we're gonna go onto our back, or onto our stomach rather, to work the back. We're gonna do some prone flutter kicks. So put your hands together. You can lay your head on your hands. You can look down or to the side. Straight legs, kick. So you wanna try to lift your thighs off the floor here. Squeeze your butt and keep your upper body relaxed. I'm not totally putting my head down because I have my mic on, but I want you to relax as much as you can. Lay your head down. So we're just using the low back, glutes, hamstrings here to lift. Trying to get those knees, those quads off the ground. Big squeeze. It's going to be tough, and it doesn't matter how high you get the legs
or even how big your little flutter kicks are. Just keep everything really tight. Focus on staying off the ground in that low body as best as you can. Again, so important to open up and work the back body to strengthen the front of our core. A couple more seconds. Done.
Whew, what a way to finish. Great work, you guys. That was workout number 2. We've got 3 more workouts, and we're going to continue to progress on those movements to continue to challenge your core and progress in your core healing journey. So I'll see you back here for the next one. And if you have any comments, questions, let me know. I always link everything I used, as well as my website if you want to check out what's new on there. I've got my YouTube guides as well as my nutrition guide for you to look at as well. So thanks for being here, and I'll see you back here for our next workout together.